Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of What the Fuck Friday. And do we have a what the fuck for you for sure?
80s throwback special.
Yeah, so here we go. We've got Ninja 3, The Domination, and yeah.
One of the dumbest movies you're ever going to see, but it was the thing back then, sort of dumb, brainless action movies that are fun and strange and crazy and over the top.
So first of all, I did not realize this was Canon. And if you know anything about Canon, Canon does over the top what the fuck things all the time.
Golan Globus, the world has not been the same without you.
Well, then we got later on we had Full Moon doing more stuff, and then we had...
They've never done a ninja movie that I know of. That would be awesome.
Ninja
Puppet
puppets.
Ninjas.
Yes! Ninja puppets.
Yes! Where are you? Listen to us.
I know.
Great ideas.
Yeah. I would love that. Ninja puppets.
That would be awesome.
Flipping
a
around
whole
and
troop of
everything.
them.
Oh my god, that would be awesome.
Kind of like Black Cougar, except actually effective.
Alright. Anyway, that was another What the Fuck Friday we did, by the way.
Yes.
Black Cougar. Go see season 1. Ninja 3 I had heard of for the longest time. There was no Ninja 1 and 2, I don't believe. And then they made Ninja 3, The Domination, which...
Well, I think they were made, but they were named something else. I don't remember exactly the story behind it, but I remember there was something going on. I think they were named other things, and this really it has no association with any of the other ones, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it has no association with anything. It's such a weird...
Including reality.
Including reality. It's such a weird movie, honestly. Like, that movie is strange.
I was telling Jonathan, it's like in the 80s, ninjas were what radar was in the 40s and 50s, because it was magical and it can do anything. So,
yeah.
Ninjas here, they're just magical and can do anything they
they're
want.
like witchcraft or sorcery, that you can just get away with saying, oh, well, the ninja can just do this.
That's complete bullshit.
And that's what this movie shows a lot of, is like the ninjas just do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, I'll walk around, I'm a ninja.
Yeah. Yeah, which, generally speaking, ninjas are supposed to hide.
Yeah. At least the classic ninjas, although nobody really knows if ninjas
even in
ever
Teenage
really
Mutant
existed.
Ninja Turtles, they talk about that. Like, the whole idea is that you're supposed to vanish without a trace. And
there were traces of this ninja all
yeah,
over the place.
oh my god, he would just kill people randomly. Like, the beginning starts off at a golf course for no reason other than, I guess, the ninja I think he was killing the scientist or something.
Well, he was killing everybody in sight, but I guess his target was supposed to be the scientist. We don't know why.
We don't know why.
Because it doesn't matter.
There's no point to it.
He's killing everybody, and then because some of the cops do their job and actually try to stop him by shooting him, the rest of the movie is the ninja deciding he needs to kill the cops that killed him or tried to kill him, because you can't kill a ninja. He's a super magical creature.
Yeah, and if you try to kill him, he'll just be on the warpath for you.
Right. Pretty much it's Michael Myers with martial arts and a sword.
And you're right. It's Michael Myers. He's just there. He's just and Terminator, you said earlier. Terminator, and he's just like a non-stop killing machine for no reason. No reason whatsoever.
And he took at least 40 to 50 bullets. Didn't bother him.
No.
Why should it? There's only physics, law of nature, all that stuff. Reality.
Who
cares about that?
Over the writers' heads.
But, like I said, this is classic 80s brainless fun. And that's what you do. You don't care whether it makes sense or not. You just put it into every mom and pop video store on the corner, because every teenager on the block is going to plunk down their $3.99 to rent this for a night.
So it was written by a guy named James R. Silk. I never heard of him. I don't think he probably wrote for Canon.
Writing.
Well, I think a lot of the time they're like, give me a ninja movie. We want this, this, this. We have this, this, this. We need to throw this, this, this in there. And then he just kind of puts it all together into something that's cohesive enough for them to
I'm willing to bet there was no script. I'm willing to bet there was a whole lot of drawings,
storyboards?
I bet this is a storyboard movie. And they just wanted to connect the storyboards, and that's what the
That
script
would make
was.
sense for a lot of the dialogue.
Especially because there's this very, very stunt heavy. And in fact, the biggest star, the biggest name in this is Sho Kosugi, and that was his bread and butter, was, stunt coordinator and martial arts guy.
He was the fight coordinator for this one.
For this and for a whole boatload of ninja and martial arts movies in the 80s. This was he was like the guy back then. So
let's talk about the cast in it, because you just mentioned Sho Kosugi. And he was fun. He plays
he was an evil ninja.
Yamada, the bad ninja. The evil ninja. And then there's Christy, played by Lucinda Dickey, who is the chick who, she's a telephone operator, I guess, or her telephone
by
repair.
day and aerobics dancer by night. And
not just dancer, she's the instructor.
Instructor. Lots and lots of dancing. And the reason for that is because Lucinda Dickey was a dancer from the 80s Solid Gold, amongst apparently a bunch of other ones in this film.
She did pageants as well, you said?
Yeah, she was in a whole bunch of stuff, including Breaking and Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Well, and those are Canon movies.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Ugh.
That they would just keep using her.
Sure, so she was part of that troupe of folks who made shitty, awful Canon movies.
So when we first see her as, the telephone repair girl, she sees the ninja who's been shot by the police, 1,000 times, and he's still moving around, as if he's sort of stumbling a little bit. She can tell
a little bit. I guess it bothered him a bit.
Yeah, and then she comes up, and she wants to help him, but he's kind of, yelling at her in Japanese. And so she's like, well, screw you, pal. And she starts walking away, and then he starts yelling at her Japanese again, and she turns around, and he, puts a hypnotizing look into her or something.
Throws the ninja whammy on her. Well, her makeup can't stop it.
And then he kind of enters her soul, I guess. Yeah. It doesn't explain why or how.
Her 80s hair and makeup could not prevent his ninja magic from taking hold of her.
And then she becomes some parts of the time she becomes the ninja, parts of the time she's herself.
She's the ninja when the script demands it, and she's the aerobics chick when the script demands it. It just kind of goes back and forth without any real sense.
Yeah, so she's there. She lives in a warehouse.
With a phone on the wall.
Payphone. Payphone on the wall.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Because that's where they could shoot it.
Yeah. And then, what else?
They had to rent a helicopter. They had to cut, stuff out of the budget somewhere.
We said she was a aerobics instructor, which I guess was at a gym.
Yeah, and there are aerobic dancing montage scenes of just painful to sit through. I had to sit through them bad enough in the 80s. It was awful. I have to relive them.
Yeah, to relive them.
I was telling Jonathan, I saw this way back in the day, at least most of it. I don't think I finished it.
And then there's this other guy, Billy Secord or something, played by Jordan Bennett, and he was in the police department. He was like a detective. He was one of the guys that was shooting the
sweatiest, hairiest cop ever. He's a yak. There is no way a woman's going to ever touch him until he shaves the 700,000 pounds of hair off of his back and shoulders. He was disgusting. Disgusting.
And then there was the black ninja who's got an eye patch on his...
With a little hole so he could see through it.
Yeah, of course.
That was David Chung, who may have been in a bunch of stuff. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me.
And then there's Akuda, which I'm guessing is just one of the guys, whatever. And he's played by Dale Ishimoto, I guess. And then there's Miyashima, who I believe is if I'm correct, he was the guy that was trying to help her.
Yeah, that's James Hong.
Yeah, James Hong. He was trying to help her.
He's the guy doing some kind of
exorcist.
weird Taoist thing, even though Taoism is not part of Japanese culture.
Yeah, this movie really, really gets their, Oriental stuff.
Golden Globus, they're Israelis. They don't know anything about Asian stuff. They're just mixing it all together, and they figure most Americans aren't going to know.
Oh man, that bothers me. That they just, especially because you were saying this was filmed in L.A. and there's people to talk to.
Just like Misty says, it's the 80s. Do a lot of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan.
Apparently. So there you go. So James Hong. And then the rest of the people are just random people. In the movie.
I don't know.
There's no real.
There are a couple people who it turns out were solid gold dancers, which doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of dancing in this film because, like I was telling Jonathan, when you're martial arts movies, they're mostly dancers and gymnasts. That's who they do that because actual real fighting doesn't involve any of that horse shit.
And we were talking earlier. We saw that one of the stunt person was Evil Knievel's
Robbie Knievel. Yeah.
Son.
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome.
So that was interesting. And
yeah, I don't know. Did he do a lot of movies?
I think so. I think in the 80s and 90s he probably did a lot of stunt stuff. But it was interesting because, in addition to being the evil ninja, Sho Kosugi was also the stunt coordinator and fight coordinator. And he was the guy up in the helicopter helping to make sure that nobody died when they did those stunts.
It would be really cool if he did a lot of the motorcycle stunts. Because we saw a lot of motorcycle stunts, and his father was very well known for doing motorcycle stunts.
And including a lot of them that I would call unnecessary motorcycle stunts, because even you were like, wait a minute, motorcycles wouldn't do that.
Right. Well, okay, there's one scene where the guy's on the motorcycle and he gets knocked off, and the motorcycle continues to go as if there's a rider on it, which meant that obviously it was on some kind of wire or something, but no, once you're off the motorcycle, it stops and falls down.
There were a lot of wires. The sword was floating around on wires for a while, and there are pluses and minuses about Blu-ray. You do get to see the colors and there's a lot of clarity, but there's some clarity, like the fucking guy's hairy back, that you could see every fucking follicle on his arms and legs and everywhere. It was just gross.
Yeah, but then there's also stuff like the wires that I didn't notice. Yeah. I still didn't notice. So either they CGI'd that out on the thing, or they.
You could see it on the sword.
Could you? I didn't notice it. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't really looking.
Go back and check it out.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're gonna watch the commentary part.
At some point, I might. So there's commentary on this Blu-ray with the director and the stunt guy or stunt coordinator, which was Steve Lambert, and so I'm really interested in seeing that. He was also a pilot, and that was one of the coolest stunts in the movie. Was a pilot the ninjas up on the helicopter, and he's killing. Everybody.
The cool thing is that buried under all the mounds and mounds of horse shit in this film, there is actually the kernel of an interesting story. I like the idea that you have this, super powerful ninja creature or whatever, who comes over to do his thing. They think they kill him, but he transfers his soul into the body of a hot young aerobics chick. Okay, that's the beginning of what could be an interesting story.
Because if you read that at the back of the thing, you would have been like, that sounds awesome.
Sounds interesting, right.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the execution was super sloppy. The writing was super sloppy. There's just a lot of unnecessary stuff and just ridiculousness that, keeps it from being anything more than just a mindless 80s popcorn film.
Yeah, it was. And just the magicalness of what... Everything could happen. After a while, it just got, okay, so what can't happen?
Exactly.
Magic is great in films if you use it sparsely. Because then you're like, oh, that was cool. But then when you see a movie like this, you're like, oh, okay, that was cool. But then, oh, okay, that's cool. But what, after a while you start going, okay, then...
And what's worse is that they finally kill the ninja, but it didn't matter, because he's just as strong, if not stronger... So why did you even bother?
Yeah, why don't you just leave?
Everyone just left. Oh, go away.
No, we're done.
We ignore you.
We ignore you.
She tried. It was funny. There's one part where he's trying to haunt her because he haunts her, and there's a bunch of exorcist shit going on there. And being all spooky. And she tries to ignore him. She's like, oh, whatever. I'm just going to turn on the music and dance around. And the ghost is having none of that. So the sword floats over and chops the music, and it just makes her stop dancing. She's like, pay attention to me.
Yeah, and then it sucks her into the closet or whatever. Once again, I want to get back to the helicopter scene, because that was one of the coolest stunts. So the guy's on there just chopping everybody around, and then he kills the pilot, played by Steve Lambert, and he jumps with the other guy into the water, the dead cop or whatever, into the water, and the helicopter is... But the problem with what I was saying to you when we were watching, I was like, this is bullshit, because why isn't it already going like that before they jump into the water if he's already dead? Because he was already dead. He didn't just go, okay, now that they're gone, I'm dead.
Right.
So It was ridiculous. But then you noticed, you said when it was going to go behind the rocks and then explode
because
they couldn't afford to actually well, you said also.
So
it wouldn't explode.
Yeah, they just wait until it's out of camera and then they say, okay, cue the explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was cool. Like, I mean, whatever. I mean, you called it, but back in the 80s, I guarantee you, nobody would have, whatever.
It's back in the day when pretty much anything that crashed, automatically you had to have an explosion, whether it was a helicopter or a car or a motorcycle or a tricycle. It doesn't matter. There's got to have an explosion.
Which is ridiculous, because, most of those things don't explode. They just break or whatever, or crash,
But that's not fun and exciting for the kids.
But yeah, there's a lot of explosions, random explosions, that sometimes didn't even make any sense. And that guy could defy, anything. Like, there's one point where he's in the water and he's got that little thing that he can, like,
he's breathing
from, but then he is also spitting stuff out.
Sure, of course
and
he
I'm
is.
like, wait, he can't be spitting stuff out.
So
like,
this is a perfect movie for turn your brain off, get a pizza, your favorite beverage, adult beverage if you want. Sit back and just don't even think about anything that you're seeing.
Yeah, grab your friends because you're all gonna laugh at how
movie.
ridiculous this is.
Yeah.
You're saying everybody should drink every time they
drinking game.
A drinking game, like drink every time they if somebody dies. I'm like, dude, you'd be dead. Like, there's a million deaths in this movie. You'd be dead.
And most of them unnecessary. Rather than the ninja, sort of the classic, subtle, sneaky, I'm going to sneak in, kill the one guy and leave and no one will notice. No, this is about as subtle as a ball-peen hammer. They just wander in like the Terminator and kill everybody in sight, destroy everything in sight.
That would have been cool, because this was about the time after the first Terminator. So it would have been cool if he popped up, like, from the past or whatever. And then he comes in and starts... Because that would make as much sense as anything else in this movie.
I know. Well, we already had to suffer through Robo Ninja.
Well, that was later. I think that was in the 90s. No, we didn't have to do Robo... We did Robo Vampire.
Oh, we haven't done Robo Ninja?
No.
Oh,
Robot Ninja? No.
Dear.
We did Robot Ninja. Because we've only done Zombie Cop. Robot Ninja's from J.R. Bookwalter. So that's a 90s movie. That's eventually...
Well, there's an Asian Robo Ninja, too.
Oh, is there?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there is. There's tons and tons of these movies.
And then there's Cyber Ninja. There was a
Robo Chick.
ton. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, the ninja craze was the big 80s thing. And they just, all you had to do is slap the name Ninja on there and people were going to belly up. Even Pocket Ninjas. Come on.
Which we reviewed. You'll see that later this season on Indie Film Cafe. So get ready.
We just haven't done Puppet Ninjas yet because, come on, Full Moon. Let's go.
You know what? I'll
give them a call.
I'll give them a call. I'll let them know. Like, let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen. So yeah, I'm. Honestly, this is a fun little movie. Like, I kept saying, because I picked it, and generally speaking, when I pick something, I've seen it, maybe, or whatever, and I had never seen this movie. I heard of it. I'd seen clips, so I knew how weird and fucked up it was. But I wanted the Blu-ray, and everybody kept telling me they love this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, look, if you love this movie because you think the story is amazing and that it all makes sense and, blah, 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 then you're...
if you loved Miami Connection, yes, I think you'll get a kick out of this, because this, even though the story and the plot are a little more generic as opposed to the ridiculousness of Miami Connection, this is what Miami Connection wanted to be if they had had, like, a real budget. They would have loved to have had, even 3 or 4 of the scenes out of there, but there was no way. They could not compete.
They could not afford to do
Golden Globus had money. They had production. They just
didn't spend it on a script. They
just had ridiculous scripts and some cheesy actors.
Well, because, you're probably right. You said this was for the video craze of the time. And people would buy this shit up, People, stores would go there, and if it had ninja in the title, they'd probably go, you know what?
Easy rent.
This sounds like fucking, a fun little thing.
Easy rent.
I would have probably done that back in the day. I never, when I was a kid, I never got into ninja movies. And I was a martial artist, but I always thought ninjas were ridiculous.
So you already knew about all this ninja stuff because you guys probably did it all the time.
Yeah, we flipped, we jumped up, we...
You did the little corkscrew into the ground
yes,
thing?
I corkscrewed into the ground and then appeared down somewhere else. Oh, I caused earthquakes. I mean,
Did you die, leave your body, then come back to it 3 days later and then just run around like nothing happened?
Well, no, yeah, of course. Because, you know, and a hot chick. I made sure I was in a hot chick.
Yep.
Actually, I prefer guys because then, you know, I'd have sex with a girl and not another guy, you know.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on.
There's a little bit of weird stuff because, like, you have to wonder how much of that is that guy, like, because it never really fully explains how it works.
Whole time?
Like, is he watching?
Yeah.
Because then at some point he'll appear and he'll be like, I know you, I killed you.
Because she goes from being frigid towards that hairy little yak to all of a sudden sleeping with him like that. So what happens to Ninja Guy, possessive ninja's ghost, during that time?
Yeah. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
He was in and out when she was going in and out. I don't know. It's one of those things you're not supposed to think of, but I can't help it.
I don't know. Maybe I was saying maybe he's a gay ninja.
Or a bi ninja.
Or a bi ninja.
Could be.
You know, back then it wasn't, you know, it wasn't as celebrated as it is now. You know, so maybe they couldn't say it out loud, but it was there in spirit. You know, in spirit.
Spirit ninja.
It was a spirit ninja.
Yes, it was.
Occasionally the ghosts would come up here, and that made no sense because I
thought
he was a demon kind of thing.
There was a lot of exorcist
possession.
stuff going on.
I thought it was a possession thing, but like I don't understand because like how did it even happen? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of Big Trouble in Little China in this, except John Carpenter can actually turn that ridiculousness and make it fun and more believable. A lot more believable than this.
I'm just surprised James Hong said, you know, why not?
It's a check, man.
I'll do this one as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, come on. Lucinda Dickey went from Boogaloo, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo to this.
I mean, I don't know if it's much of a step or not, but, you know, I mean, that's the thing. Like
the Boogaloo Shrimp. Come on.
Yeah.
God, we have to do some of the Breakin' movies. They are so bad.
They are pretty terrible.
Awful.
But they're fun.
Yeah. Jen loves 80s movies. We have to do them with her.
Oh, yeah. If we do a break-in movie, it'll be... We'll have to do the...
We should do a double feature. We've never done a double feature.
Nope.
That would be fun.
I don't think I can handle it. I don't know if I can handle that. I think
so much 80s hair and 80s music. There was a lot in this film too. Very 80s.
It was like I like the 80s though. Like okay, so I was a kid in the 80s. You know, you were an actual
I was a teenager.
You were a teenager in the 80s, so like
I had
this
to live
stuff
it.
you had to live this shit. I was a kid, you know, so like I didn't, you know, even though I'm an 80s boy, you know, I'm not really an 80s boy. I'm really 90s. I'm really a 90s kid. Like, I grew up in the 90s more so. Like, I remember more of that. All I remember are, like, pictures I had when I was, you know, a kid. And one of the pictures I had, I was a little kid with sunglasses, really cheesy, you know, 80s sunglasses on, and a Dumbo doll in my hand. That's it. Like, that's the 80s. That's as 80s as I remember it. So.
I had to live it. So it was nothing but Madonna and Michael Jackson 24/7. I'm telling you, my suffering was unbelievable.
You have to think about it. Right now, we live in a time and age and generation where there's nothing. Like, you can't say the 2000s or the 2020s have anything interesting going on for them.
Not really.
Not really. There's no trends. There's no something, you know, like going on. And the trends right now are kind of sad.
TikTok is, I guess,
TikTok
the
is a
closest
trend. And it's just sort of like, okay.
People doing stupid things on TikTok. That's why we're not getting a giant load of TikTok's views, is because we're not doing something stupid and ridiculous. And that's all that TikTok's there for.
Right. But those are the trends. That's what's trendy right now. Which is not, you know, it's not like the 80s where they had certain clothes that everybody could pick out, or the hair.
They didn't have the internet, man.
You know.
Didn't have it.
They didn't have it. Now I guess we just kind of killed trends and killed those. Maybe that makes you happy. I don't know.
Well, the trends are super quick. They're here and then they're gone.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy about that.
You're actually like
I was not a trendy person at all, believe it or not.
But to me that defies the generation. That defines the generation. Defines the generation of like, you know, this is 80s, this is 90s even. 90s had certain music, had certain ways of, you know.
Yeah, everybody had their flannel.
70s was all fucking
God.
Saturday Night Fever. And 60s and 50s had their own little things, you know. This doesn't really have, we don't really have these kind of trends and these kind of things now. It's kind of like, what we do a lot more is go retro, you know, right? Like, that seems to be the thing.
Yeah.
People got to start, like, making shit that makes it, like, unique to the certain era and a certain time. Because
yeah, everything is too watered down right now.
Yeah.
But to get back to the film, if you're interested in just, like I said, just watching some mindless fun, this is about as mindless as you're going to get. But it's still kind of fun. There are certain people that are just going to like not put up with this kind of horse shit, but you might as well. What the hell? Can't hurt. It's fun. And especially if it's on Blu-ray and it comes with commentary, for those of us like us who are hardcore stinky movie watchers, that's gold. You know?
Right, because we want to know how they made this shit.
And why. Aside from the movie.
Most of the time they don't tell you why. They tell you how they made it, but they don't tell you why, because, you know, they think that... Because most of the time they think they're making art, you know, or whatever. That would be interesting if the director actually thought he was making something. That's now what I really want to listen to, is hear him say, you know, I really thought this was...
This is thy masterpiece. This is what they'll remember me for.
Yeah. Plan 9 from outer space. Ninja 3, the Domination. He's the ultimate killer. She's the perfect weapon. God. Christy Ryder was her name. Aerobic instructor. I love this. Okay, if I just read this back, I would love it. Aerobic instructor Christy Ryder from Breakin' and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, becomes possessed by the spirit of an evil ninja when she comes to his aid after he is gunned down. Dominated by the killer's vicious and relentless rage, she sets out to brutally attack his enemies. Her boyfriend, confused by her new boyfriend. That's another thing we did not mention. She starts like the guy starts. So, by the way, the guy meets her. The first thing he's doing, he's got his leg right up here.
Oh, yeah, he's drooling over her.
Yeah, and she's just like, and at first she's just like, go away, leave me alone. I have no interest in you.
Like a person with good sense and taste would.
Next second, she's at her house doing aerobics because that's what she
takes her clothes off for him.
You know, or whatever, and then she gets a phone call. She answers it, and it's him saying, you know, what are you doing? You know, can I meet up with you? Blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm not intruding at all, you know, and then she says, I'm going to my aerobics. And he asks her where, and she's like, I'm not going to tell you that.
I have a can of Smace with your name on it.
So then she goes to aerobics class, and he's there! He's there! So you have to think. It didn't show this, but you have to think he went to like a bunch of different aerobics classes until he found. And how did, like, he would have had to basically look in like the yellow pages or something for aerobics classes because he didn't have the internet back then.
Well, he's a cop. I guess he could have had someone follow her or something. I don't know.
Oh, it's a God, that's so creepy.
It's typical of this movie that, you know, like people will appear when they were completely thousands of miles elsewhere the next second. Well, you don't need to see that part where they actually get from one place to the other. You just accept the fact that it's there. This happens all the time. All kinds of plot holes like this.
So
and continuity issues. So
then she's possessed by a spirit, and she sees some guys picking on some poor girl
in the broad daylight.
Broad daylight, like and not even in like a alleyway or anything. Like literally just up next to some
with
area
people there.
With people driving by, like whatever, and people there. You're right,
because like, that happens even in L.A.
Yeah, you know, because you know people don't just call the cops to like you know whatever. So. She goes and beats those guys up, and the cop sees her
with her new ninja
with
magic,
new clothes, continuity issue.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of continuity issues in this movie. New clothes, says I'm gonna arrest you, and then takes her back to her place.
I love how she just picks up the safety bar, the safety rail that's on the thing, which is supposed to be rigid so that nobody falls off of it. She just picks it up and just starts whacking people with it. It's just like ridiculous. That was the Jim Cotta moment. It's
just
funny.
ridiculous. And then like, yeah, so then he ends up hooking up with her that night.
Of course he does.
Because he's the hero. She's also the hero. So.
Well, that's what's it. Yeah, that's the part you wonder. It's like she was very frigid before the ninja got into her, and now all of a sudden she's a saucy little minx.
Actually,
how much is that her?
No, she was saucy, or she was frigid when the ninja was still inside her. But maybe the ninja did come out, and maybe the ninja wanted him. But by the end of the movie, she was in love with him. So
I mean,
whatever.
the ninja wants his sword polished. What can I say?
I don't know, maybe buffered. But
there's an awful lot of her grabbing the shaft with both hands. We see that over and over and over.
Well, we see basically the same scene like 3 or 4 times. Reminded me of Pocket Ninjas, of like those montages that just kept going, and just, obviously for space and time, whatever stuff, but like it just gets so
it's just funny. It's just obvious why they're doing stuff. Like even when the good ninja, quote unquote, who still kills people when it suits him, he shows up and you're like, why is he doing that? I'm like, well, so we have to establish that he's a ninja. We know he showed up and he's stalking her, but we don't know he's an actual ninja, so he starts beating up cops for no reason.
Yeah. There was just no. Oh, and that creepy cop that took the two girls to the spa, and then the girl. So then the whatever, Lucinda, whatever her name is, Christy, goes to the spa, kills him, and kills the girls, and then the good ninja shows up and sees the whole thing, and licks the blood or whatever. It was weird.
So stupid.
It was such a strange little movie.
Yeah, it is entirely brainless.
I was just thinking, there's so many scenes. Like, this movie is just littered with, like, what the fuck moments. I kept saying, what the fuck? Why did that fucking happen?
Yeah, this is the Lauren Brobert of movies. It's entirely brainless. But, like I said, when you're in the right mood, and that's the kind of thing you're interested in as a way to get away from all the shit that's going on in the world, it's a fun movie. Put it on.
I know a lot of people would hate this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the story and situations alone. However, there are a lot of people who love this movie because of the story and situations alone.
You have to turn your brain on to duh. I mean, that's the only way you can get through it.
Exactly. But if you do, you do. Come check it out. I mean, I think honestly it's worth a...
It's fun in its way. I mean, something stupid and ridiculous happens every 5 seconds, which is always the mark of a fun movie.
You said that you don't think you'd ever watch the whole thing of this.
I don't think I did.
And you said you're pretty sure that when you saw the aerobic stuff, you probably turned it off at that point.
There was so much of it in early on.
I'm so glad you stuck with it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, back then... believe me, living in that period, I did not want to see 1 second of aerobics.
So now you've had some time away from that period that you're like, okay, I can maybe stomach through the rest of the movie.
It's hard.
It's tough if you don't really.
It's kind of like early '80s when we went through that rebirth of the achy breaky heart. Early '90s rather, with country music and everybody was line dancing. I had to live through that too. And now I'm far enough away. I know. But I'm far enough away now that I can put up with 30 seconds of it in a movie and not immediately want to vomit.
That's good. I'm glad you didn't vomit.
It's taken quite a while though. Hey, trust me, if you had to live through that all the time and that was your surrounding culture, you'd
I'd probably have been into it. I probably would have just leaned right into that shit. I don't know. I remember my mom, when I was a kid, had those Jane Fonda workout
Please
aerobics.
tell me you did aerobics. Please tell me.
I didn't.
With leggings and all that?
No, I didn't do it. But I mean, I was into karate.
Yeah, that's right. You were doing your ninja training.
I was doing my ninja training, but that was more I was 7, so 89 is when I got into my karate. So that was at the end of the 80s, where the rec center had karate, back then, which was pretty cool. But here, I just was not into aerobics. I liked watching Jane Fonda's workout. I liked watching those people in the outfits. That's about it. But
If they had been silent, I might have been interested. But no, they had the horrible, horrible, horrible music that went with it. So there was no way.
Remember Richard Simmons sweating for the oldies?
Yes,
Sweating
I
to the
do.
oldies or whatever.
I just wanted to put a bullet in my head. Horrible.
Oh man, I miss the 80s a little bit. I miss watching 80s movies kind of thing, you know, like.
I mean, I'm glad I no longer want to die every time something in the 80s happened. I mean, that's a plus.
So you don't mind watching them now. You don't mind watching the 80s movies that you probably turned off.
Time cures many wounds.
Yes. All right. Well, is there anything else? Did we miss anything?
Just a lot of silliness that happened in the film. But
I mean, there was
really
still
matter.
a lot more
Sure.
silliness. There was so much shit that happened that just made absolutely no sense.
It doesn't really matter. Like I said, just put it on. You know, you'll just don't even think about it. There's no point wasting 2 brain cells on this.
Wait a minute. It's saying that Sho Kazuki was the other guy. Because it says, afraid that he might be our next man, enlist the aid of Yamada, Sho Kazuki. So were we wrong? I think we were wrong.
Either that was wrong or the credits were wrong.
No, but it said Yamada, so it wasn't wrong.
We never got the name.
Yeah,
we just got the Black Ninja, and the Black Ninja was the guy who came later.
That's true. The Black Ninja was yeah. So wow, okay. Well, we were wrong then. But
Sho Kazuki was the guy with the mustache. That I can tell you.
No, then this must be wrong then, because
that wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know. It's all confusing right now. I don't know. All right. Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys for checking this out. Hope you guys enjoyed What the Fuck Friday. Next month you'll have Paul's, and we're about to actually do that one. And
revenge is sweet.
Revenge? Why? Why?
Well, okay, it's not a ninja movie. So.
It's not a ninja movie.
No.
We'll say that. But should be a lot of fun.
Should be fun. I'm going to have fun.
We'll see if I have fun. All right. Well, thank you guys for checking this out. Bye.
Hootie, tootie, disco cutie. Your fault.
Hold on, let me grab the movie. Where's the DVD, the Blu-ray of it?
It's all your fault.
I know, it is all my fault. Fuck, where's the Blu-ray of it?
Right there.
Where? It's hiding.
Like a ninja.
Like a ninja.
That was this season, wasn't it?
Yes.
Here we go.